So I remember I was in college, and it was after a loss, after a tough loss, and my coach, Chip Wildy, said, I can take a butt whooping. He said it loud, he said with aggressiveness. He said, I can take a butt whooping. I didn't understand what he was talking about. I had no clue what lesson he was trying to convey until a little bit later along in life when I started working for myself. And I started to understand the value of failure, and I started to see the gifts that were in failure. And I started understanding that not every L is a loss, but a life learning lesson, right? I wish I had learned that earlier in life and had a great opportunity to do it, but I didn't. But it's all good because I learned it eventually. But when I was in high school, I played with basketball with some really good ball players, or I seen some guys play basketball that were really, really good. 3 in particular. There was a guy by the name of Jason Davis. I thought this dude was the coolest dude on the face of this earth. He was a guard, super fast, super quick, athletic, just a lot of swag, a lot of confidence, wore the coolest J's, the coolest clothes. I thought this dude was, bar none, the coolest dude on the face of this earth. There's also his road dog. His name was Bonte, something like that. Bonte. I thought Bonte was 6'7". Bonte might have been probably my height, maybe like 6'4", 6'3", or something like that. But I thought this dude was 6'7". I thought this dude was Scottie Pippen, right? Played the point, could hit the long ball. He was just and could handle for as big as he was. And then there was another guy by the name of DeJuan Brown. DeJuan Brown was 6'5", could go inside and out, lefty, could shoot the basketball, could score, could jam on you. Just really, really nice ball player. In order to play basketball in the high school level in the PSL, the Detroit Public School League, you had to either play football or run cross country. You couldn't just work on your game. Seems like that makes a lot of sense now, but back then, you either had to play football or run cross country. My mother didn't let me play football, so I had to run cross country. After cross country practice, we would go to the gym and we play open gym. That was our workout. A hard cross country regime, routine, whatever you want to call it, and then we have to play open gym. I never played open gym because I was terrified of playing with these guys. Terrified. They were freshmen that would play, sophomores, underclassmen that would play with these guys, but I never ever wanted to play with these guys because I was afraid of missing a shot, missing a layup, missing a pass, making the wrong pass, so on and so forth. I was so afraid of making mistakes. I was so afraid of taking L's in front of these dudes, right? And these dudes, they like any other team would. They might look at you sideways. They might cuss you out. They might talk crazy to you. They might they might make fun of you later on. They might say, bro, you weak, you know what I'm saying? And guys back then played the dozens, so they ain't no telling. You might get roasted and dogged for your basketball game. But at the end of the day, I never wanted any of that pressure. So my father would probably, after cross-country practice, my father, and let's say cross-country practice ended at, let's say, 4 o'clock. My father probably wouldn't come till 5. So for like a whole hour, I would just sit and wait for my father. And people were like, hey, you gonna run? You gonna play? I was like, no, my father on his way. Knowing good and well, I could have easily got a good, half an hour, 45 minutes of just playing, and getting better, but I didn't want to because I didn't want to experience that pressure. I didn't want to experience that failure. And I kicked myself in the butt because it probably would have helped me in my college game. I had a pretty good career. I had a solid career. My best year was 10 points. 10 points a game my senior year. I played all 4 years. I always found my way on the court, always found myself playing in key moments, you know what I'm saying? Coach always found a way for coach to use me, you know what I'm saying? Started game. But I could have been a lot better had I learned some of those virtues of, getting your butt kicked and experiencing failure and learning the values and experiencing it earlier. Everybody that's nice probably got their butt kicked by somebody early on. Everybody that's nice, and I don't care what the industry, I don't care what sport, I don't care if no matter what their genius is, 9 times out of 10, although they recognize they were good at something, at some point down the line, they got their butts kicked. They were unprepared. They weren't ready. They weren't as skilled as they needed to be. They weren't as conditioned as they needed to be. They didn't have, they weren't prepared as well as they could have been, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of different narratives for why somebody came up short, but because they came up short, but they loved it, they kept working, they kept grinding, they kept working on their craft, and before long, they became nice. And so what my coach was saying to me that day is, I can take a butt whooping. I'm willing to take this butt whooping because I know it's going to make me stronger, bigger, faster, more explosive down the line, especially if I really internalize it and I use it as inspiration and motivation to get better. So here I am. I'm doing these podcasts. I'm doing a ton of this content. And not all of it is great, you know what I'm saying? Not all of the angles are great. Not all of the lighting is fantastic. I know that with my podcast, there's going to be some times where I'm going to, stumble, mumble, fumble, forget what I'm talking about, so on and so forth. But I can't be afraid of the first few steps. I can't be afraid. I gotta focus on each step, because I know once I get to step 100, 200, 1,000, 100,000, million, once I get to those steps down the line, I might be a bad man. But it's going to take step after step. It's going to take failure after failure, hiccup after hiccup, setback after setback, and me processing, internalizing, memorizing everything that's taking place, strategizing, working on my craft, you know what I'm saying? In order for me to take all those moments where I didn't show up as in my best self, but through those failures, I can learn how to eventually and inevitably become my best self. So if there was one thing that I could say to my younger self, it would be, Marv, learn how to take a butt whooping. You're going to mess up. You're going to mess up. You're going to miss some shots. You're going to dribble the ball off your foot. You're going to try to do something with your left hand. Those boys going to make you look silly, right? And they're going to clown you. They're going to clown you hard, but you just keep coming, and keep attacking. And inevitably, at some point, it might not be in front of them, but at some point in front of somebody, you're going to be special. You're going to be a bad man. So if you're thinking about doing something and you're second guessing yourself because you think it might not be dope on the first route, on the first try, so what? Learn from your failures. It's a classic lesson, but don't be afraid to F up. Marv Fox Jr.